Queen Himiko was a feared ruler whose dark powers brought death and devastation wherever she went. Fearing her growing strength, her own generals eventually turned against her, capturing and imprisoning her on a remote island that no one could survive on. Years later, Lord Richard Croft uncovered an ancient map revealing Himiko's location and became obsessed with finding her, even though it meant leaving behind his young daughter, Lara. Years later in London, Lara Croft competes in an underground mixed martial arts match. Her opponent quickly gains the upper hand and traps her in a brutal chokehold. Refusing to surrender, Lara fights to stay conscious for as long as she can. But with no way out, she's eventually forced to tap out and accept defeat. After finishing her shift as a bike courier, Lara heads to a local gathering spot where she hears about a high-stakes urban game called the Fox Hunt. In the competition, one rider acts as the fox, leaving a trail of paint while dozens of bikers chase them across the city. If the fox avoids capture before the paint runs dry, they win the cash prize. As she enters a quieter street, however, she notices a man in a suit who reminds her of her missing father. The memory distracts her for a split second, causing her to crash straight into a police car. At the station, Richard Croft's former business partner, Anna Miller, pays Lara's bail and gets her released. Although Lara appreciates the help, she keeps her distance from Anna. Anna reminds her that she no longer needs to struggle for money because she has access to her father's massive inheritance. But Lara refuses to accept it. 7 years have passed since Richard vanished without a trace, and Anna urges Lara to finally sign the legal documents declaring him dead. If she doesn't, his estate and possessions will eventually be liquidated. Despite the pressure, Lara remains unwilling to give up hope that her father could still be alive. The following day, Lara visits Croft Holdings to sign the documents. Just before she does, the company lawyer presents her with a strange Japanese puzzle box known as a karakuri, which Richard left behind. Curious, Lara solves the intricate puzzle and uncovers a hidden key along with a secret letter. The letter contains a cryptic clue mentioning the first letter of Richard's final destination. Almost instantly, Lara understands what he meant. She rushes back to Croft Manor and heads to her father's tomb, realizing it was the destination referenced in the message. Pressing the letter R into the stone, she reveals a hidden keyhole and inserts the key. A concealed doorway suddenly opens, exposing a secret chamber hidden beneath the tomb. Inside, Lara discovers fake passports, research files, and an old video camera. When she plays the recording, Richard appears on screen with a message meant only for her. In the video, Richard explains that after Lara's mother died, he became obsessed with finding evidence of another realm where he might be reunited with her. He warns Lara that his research into Queen Himiko is incredibly dangerous and must never fall into the wrong hands. He begs her to destroy everything connected to the project. Instead of burning the files, Lara begins investigating them. She uncovers the legend of Queen Himiko and learns about the mysterious lost island of Yamatai. Digging deeper, she realizes that Richard himself was traveling there before he disappeared. Several days later, Lara arrives in Hong Kong and begins searching for the captain. A group of young men approaches her and offers assistance, but their kindness quickly turns into a scam when they steal her bag and run. Lara immediately chases after them, sprinting and leaping across boats in the harbor. Eventually, she catches up to the man carrying her bag and tackles him to the ground, forcing him to hand it back. But the confrontation isn't over. After returning the bag, the thief pulls a knife and threatens her. Following the clues she gathered, she finally locates the ship known as the Endurance. Unfortunately, the thieves corner her once again. Before they can attack, a shotgun blast echoes through the area. The ship's captain, Lu Ren, fires a warning shot that sends the men running for their lives. Lu Ren then orders Lara to leave as well, but before the conversation can continue, he suddenly collapses from being heavily intoxicated. Refusing to waste the opportunity, Lara drags him into a shower and sprays him with cold water until he wakes up. She shows him a message she found among her father's belongings. Lu Ren points out that the note was likely intended for his father, who shared the same name. However, his father disappeared years ago as well. Realizing both of their fathers vanished during the same expedition, Lara reveals that they were searching for the legendary island of Yamatai. She shows Luren Richard's journal, which contains a series of mysterious codes she believes are coordinates. Luren studies the journal and quickly realizes the symbols aren't coordinates at all, they represent the positions of clock hands. Using that insight, Lara finally deciphers the location of the island. But Luren warns her that Yamatai lies beyond the Devil Sea, a region infamous for deadly storms and disappearing ships. One night, Lara is jolted awake as the Endurance is swallowed by a violent storm. She rushes to the bridge, where Luren struggles desperately to keep the ship under control. Through the chaos, Lara catches sight of Yamatai in the distance. But before they can reach it safely, towering waves slam into the vessel from every direction. Luren orders everyone to abandon ship, but Lara refuses to leave without her father's journal. After fighting through the waves, Lara finally reaches shore. To her surprise, she spots signs of other people living on the island. Before she can investigate, someone attacks from behind and knocks her unconscious. The next morning, Lara wakes up inside a tent and comes face to face with Matthias Vogel. He speaks calmly, even mentioning that he has daughters around her age back home. But beneath his friendly tone lies something far more sinister. When Lara checks her belongings, she realizes her father's journal is gone. Vogel reveals that he now possesses the journal and thanks Lara for bringing it directly to him. He explains that Richard refused to cooperate with Trinity's mission. As a result, Vogel claims he personally killed him. The revelation hits Lara like a punch to the chest. For years she had clung to hope that her father was still alive. Now she believes that hope has finally been destroyed. When Lara is taken outside, she discovers a massive labor camp filled with prisoners and armed guards. Workers are using explosives to blast through the mountainside. Among the captives, she spots Luren, who has also been captured and forced into labor. Realizing they have no choice, Luren suddenly attacks one of the guards with a shovel. Lara sprints into the jungle as bullets tear through the air behind her. Lara races through the dense wilderness until she reaches a steep cliff. She attempts to cross using a fallen tree trunk, but gunfire forces her to lose her footing. Moments later, she plunges into the river below. The powerful current drags her downstream toward a massive waterfall. Desperately searching for anything to hold on to, she grabs the wing of a wrecked airplane lodged in the rocks. She manages to climb onto the wing, but the metal begins to snap under her weight. As the plane falls, Lara spots an old parachute. She grabs it and jumps just before impact. The chute deploys at the last second, allowing her to survive another near-death fall. Her landing is anything but graceful. Then she notices a mysterious figure watching her from the darkness. The stranger disappears into the wilderness, and Lara immediately chases after him. She watches as he climbs a rocky cliffside and follows him to a hidden campsite. When she finally catches up, she can hardly believe what she's seeing. The man is Richard Croft. At first, Richard thinks he's hallucinating. After years of isolation, he struggles to believe his daughter is actually standing in front of him. But as Lara desperately convinces him she's real, the truth finally sinks in. Determined to save everyone herself, Lara grabs a bow and heads back toward Vogel's camp. Moving silently through the jungle, she sneaks into Vogel's tent and hides just moments before he enters. Lara overhears him receiving word that Trinity's extraction team is already on its way. The only thing standing in their way now is unlocking the tomb. She silently takes out the guard watching the workers and tells the prisoners to arm themselves and prepare to escape. While Luren leads the workers to safety, Lara sneaks back into the tent and steals the satellite phone. But as she flees the camp, she spots something alarming. Richard is walking directly toward the entrance of Himiko's tomb. Moments later, Vogel intercepts him and demands that he unlock the door. Vogel insists he's only trying to get home to his family, but Richard argues that opening the tomb will doom countless innocent people. When Richard refuses to cooperate, Vogel orders one of his men to execute him. Before the guard can pull the trigger, Lara fires an arrow and takes him down. She immediately aims another arrow at Vogel, but he grabs Richard and presses a gun against his head. Vogel realizes that Lara doesn't truly believe the ancient warnings. She lowers her weapon and volunteers to open the tomb herself. She carefully rotates the massive stone wheels into place. Moments later, the entrance rumbles and collapses inward, revealing a dark pit beneath. With no other option, Lara, Richard, Vogel, and the remaining guards descend into the tomb. As they venture deeper underground, a sudden gust of wind rushes through the passageways. Richard immediately grows concerned, believing it means Himiko is somehow still alive. Eventually, the group reaches the heart of the tomb. There, resting on an elevated platform, is Himiko's coffin. Richard desperately pleads with Vogel not to open it. He warns that some things are better left untouched. But Vogel refuses to listen. Convinced that the stories are nothing more than superstition, he orders his men to open the coffin. Inside lies Himiko's preserved body. Then something impossible happens. For a brief moment, Himiko's eyes snap open. The guards recoil in horror, but almost immediately her body begins rapidly decaying before their eyes. The moment the guards touch the corpse, chaos erupts. As Himiko's body shifts inside the coffin, Vogel assumes it's merely some elaborate mechanical trick. Obsessed with completing his assignment, he cuts off one of Himiko's fingers and seals it inside a specimen bag to deliver to Trinity. While Vogel is distracted, Lara seizes her opportunity. At the same time, Richard snatches a weapon from one of the fallen soldiers and shoots Vogel in the leg. With no time to waste, Lara races back toward Himiko's tomb. There she finds Richard waiting for her. But he refuses to let her get close. The infection has already begun spreading through his body. Richard tells Lara that stopping Vogel is now the only thing that matters. He reveals that he has planted explosives throughout the tomb and intends to destroy everything. Lara begs him to come with her, convinced there must be another way. Richard gently refuses. Fighting back tears, Lara grips her pickaxe as father and daughter say their final goodbye. As Vogel attempts to escape across the chasm of souls, Lara launches herself onto the ladder connecting both sides. She blocks his path and forces him back. The two engage in a brutal fight high above the abyss. Vogel finally pins Lara to the ground and prepares to finish her. Then an explosion rocks the tomb. The distraction gives Lara the opening she needs. She kicks Vogel away, grabs the bag containing Himiko's infected finger, and shoves it down his throat. Seconds later, the infection begins taking hold. Before he can recover, Lara sends him plunging into the abyss below. With the entire tomb collapsing around her, Lara makes one final desperate leap across the gap. Sometime later, Luren discovers her climbing out of a hole in the mountainside and helps her escape. Together, they spot a Trinity helicopter arriving to recover Vogel's team. Instead of hiding, Lara and Luke confront the pilots and force them to fly them off the island. Back in London, Lara finally signs the documents declaring Richard legally dead. This is where Lara finally transforms from a survivor into the Tomb Raider we know. Deep inside Himiko's tomb, she uncovers the truth behind the legend and learns that the real threat was never magic, but a deadly disease hidden for centuries. After losing her father once again and stopping Vogel from unleashing the infection on the world, Lara escapes Yamatai stronger than ever. Back in London, she begins uncovering Trinity's deeper connections and prepares for the battles ahead. By purchasing her iconic dual pistols, Lara fully embraces the path that will define her future adventures.